Remember, please hit like and subscribe for me. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go. Good morning, everyone. Today is Wednesday, July the 2nd, and this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. My apologies for being late this morning. Just a lot of things conspired against me. Okay, moving on. We've got the opening range from this morning. Early, we broke to the upside, expanded right into the expected move high, which is $6,270. We are now back at the low of the opening range. Yesterday's high volume box has a low of 6,239. That seems a little important. The low of the high volume box from the day before is almost right at that zone, maybe just about 5 or 6 points below that. That tells me we are in a range. As I mentioned yesterday, we have a two-way tape. What does a two-way tape mean? It means we move up and we move down, and then we move up and then we move down, and then we move up and then we move down, and then we move up and then we move down. Two-way tape. I suspect another two-way tape again today. Tomorrow is what everybody is waiting on. We had Challenger job cuts and then ADP that just came in a few moments ago. I don't know what that number is, but the market is fading a little bit. We've had a mean reversion. So let's go to the 4-hour and see what that mean reversion. Whoa, look at that. It's pretty far away. All right, so sideways pocket, still low of the region, 6,231. High of the region, 6,270. Pullbacks, going to be buy zones. Why? Look at trend. Now, momentum is drifting south. It is, right? And we do have resistance showing from our super trend, but there's also a fair level of support underneath, and we continue to make higher lows. Be careful with size. That's the most important thing I have to say to you today. It is incredibly important that you watch size. Right now, we're trapped between 6,230 and 6,270. Anywhere in between, you could get rocketed around. So just wait. You know, yesterday I made 2 trades, right? One at the bottom, one at the top. And that was it. Let's take a look at the NQ. That was the E-mini S&P, of course. Now we go to the NQ. NQ has an opening range that looks like about, not 40 points. We tested above the opening range. Remember, you can always trade the breakout of these ranges relative to trend, right? If you trade the breakout relative to trend, you must look to the left for resistance ahead, relative trend based on just the candle formations, high, lower high. You're going to expect another lower high, and that's going to come right around near-term prior support. And that's exactly what happened. We went right through it. Now we're at the bottom of the range. Again, another two-way tape day. That's my suspicion. Watch for the deep dips to find buy zones, large volume pockets. We've already broken the large volume pocket down from here, way up at 22,849. Expected move to the upside, 22,819. Expected move to the downside, 22,567. Best trade location in my mind is base of the range, to look for the longs, let them settle out, or the big bounce that rejects. We're going to be sideways for a bit until we get the jobs number. And I have no idea what that's going to be. I truly have no idea. All right, let's take a look at the YM. Yesterday, it absolutely outperformed. It was incredible, the outperformance of the YM. No two-way tape there. Range break right at 9 o'clock, and it kept running. This was a fantastic instrument to trade yesterday. Sadly, I wasn't watching it. So, poo. Anyways, what do we have today? Tight opening range. We broke above it, broke prior resistance, and now coming back into the opening range, Pullbacks are buy zones. Notice our super trend showing the floor of support. If it breaks here and you try to go long, 44,796 is going to be that support floor. If it loses that area, this chart is going to give back a bunch of this motion. All right. Very, very bullish day. Very unusual. It looked like a flight to safety for me, but I have no idea. No idea. Up here, expected move still very far above us. Let's take a look at Bitcoin, micro Bitcoin, and opening range. Talk about something that is absolutely violently swinging over the last week or so. A lot of stuff going on. Here's a high, and then a shoulder formation. I don't know if this is an ugly, what kind of pattern this is, but we do have ourselves a formation that looks like it's topping and could come all the way back to the opening range. We are at the top of the expected move on the day, 108,000. The low of the expected move on the day, 105,390. Weekly expected moves still well inside them, 111,700 on the upside, 104,008 on the downside. And so what do we expect? Look at the heavy compression, fade through the area. They're going to look for buyers in this kind of formation, but I'd like to wait to the bottom of the box. Again, ideal buy zone for me, 106,850 to 107,000. Now, you could say, well, wait a second, Emery, don't we have a short right here? And the answer is yes, but not without risk. That's pretty significant. So what's the risk? Again, we'll use our super trend here. And we can see that risk formations sort of flatten out at about 108,300. That's a pretty wide range. I would wait for a bounce that fails again. We get a low, a bounce that gives us another lower high, loses 108, and then, we move back into the support zones near the VWAP at 107,000. That's what I would be looking for if I were looking for a short. I'm still looking for a long at the bottom of the range. However, that's been very good to me. Let's take a look at copper. Hello. Copper going insane, really. I think copper's still in a wide range. I don't believe it is in a breakout formation of late. I think it's really clogged sideways. Expected move, we got a new expected move here. This one very far below expiration. I would like to see a short at 516 or long at 501. Otherwise, I'm not touching this with a 10-foot pole. I've got my alert set, price action formation. Why did I not shift that? Price action formation shows that we are sitting right in the middle of this noise, so I'm not touching it. If you're thinking about, well, wait a second, what does super trend say? Super trend tells us that there's bullish motion here that you can take. However, the risk is awful. So if you want to take a long right here, upside I only see as 2 cents and downside is 8 cents. So no, not for me. Thank you very much. All right, nat gas. So I have a very big nat gas position in one of my accounts that's swing, and it's been bleeding. Now, luckily, I've sold a lot of options against it, so I'm not particularly concerned. But can I tell you, I was very happy to see this bounce today. That being said, it still looks terrible. Still looks terrible, but it's become very volatile and definitely can be used to trade. What is the trend? Down. Where is momentum? Negative, but lifting. Super trend says, hey, if I break out above this zone, it's going to stay long. And if I don't, my floor of support is still $3.74. Expected move on the day, $3.34 on the low end, $3.48 on the high end. Bounces or sell zones in this nasty patch, right? but the bounce could be significant. So what you want to do is make sure you wait for the price action to converge properly. We are still in the middle of this box. So could we expand to 353? Yes, if it pulls back to the top of the opening range at 342, pretty nice buy event, but you want to be very careful at the low of the opening range. Be your stop. This could really rip your head off, so you've got to be very careful. But I do like what's happening. Summertime is coming up. Nat gas should start lifting pretty dramatically during the summer months. All right, let's go to Earl. Our buddy Earl. Actually, my otter is going to call this Earl, so I better call it oil, like we know it should be called. Look at this range. Top of the expected move, $66.31. Bottom of the expected move, $64.78. We opened almost smack dab in the middle, broke the low of the opening range, broke the high of the opening range, retested, and went to the top. So what does this tell me? Range bound events. Now, I know the administration is not going to want this to move up much higher, but I'm not sure about the powers that be. We'll be watching this right now. We have these higher lows and higher highs, just like we did moving into the tops here. Pullbacks are buy zones, but if we break the high of the opening range at 65.63, this chart is very likely to come in and test 64.78. What am I going to do? I'm going to wait for the failure. Today we have the EIA report, I think. So that's something. I'm going to wait for a big explosion to the north that I can short. 67.20, 67.10, something like that. Going to watch for reversal, or I'm going to wait around and watch for the baseline. I am not trading in the middle of this garbage. I'm just going to wait. I've got a lot of really nice setups today, but it's going to be easy because I'm just going to wait. Just have a lot of setups in different places. It's going to be good. All right, gold. Look at this monstrosity. A lot of people were saying, hey, it's got to do with the dollar weakness, so blah, blah, blah. I don't have any idea what it is. It could be, which I read a lot of institutional stuff and some hedge fund stuff. These guys were trapped short because they thought we were in a downward trend. Hey, I did too, only I don't have tens of millions of dollars in a momentum swing short. And that, my friends, is a squeeze. That's a squeeze. And so remember, what a squeeze is the sellers opened up their trades and then they got caught on the back foot. And instead of losing money, they had to buy the stock to get out of all of their positions from down here. So you might say, well, where will they stop buying because their short trend is intact? It could be 3,880. That happens to be the high of the expected move today. The low of the expected move, 3,320. Trend up, down from here, but up since here. So definitely mean reversion is suggesting a pullback that will bounce, and momentum is up, right? So dips are buys. But I believe, friends, this is a short covering event. And so when it stops, we'll know what's going on. And the high of the range here maybe suggests to me where these shorts actually put on their trade. All right. Sorry about all the voices today. It's been a morning. SPY. Sideways. 1, 2. This is our third sideways day. We're going to move out of the range because there's a lot of news coming, right? A lot of news coming. Low of the expected move, $615.86. That's going to be the first place to take a long with a tight risk event. If they don't do it, they're probably going to fill the gap. That's all the way down at 613. High of the expected move, $620, $620.91. Yeah, noisy. I think two-way tape, flat VWAP, same sort of thing, right? Two-way tape, very, very likely on a flat VWAP. Opening range in the NQ, tight, but fading. I saw a lot of sector rotation yesterday, moving from tech into consumer staples, into healthcare, into energy. They were just dribbling out of the Mag 7 or whatever we want to call them right now. And, we are underneath an upward moving average. So the buyers are still going to try and buy the floor. That's about $544. If we lose that zone, we got a gap. We got a gap fill down here at 542 all the way into 541. Momentum is below the midline. And so that tells us that we have a little bit more negative pressure, but the moving average says, hey, buyers are going to try and find the floor. If it breaks here, the average is going to tip down, momentum is going to slip over, and we're going to have short action continuation. All right, that's it for me, folks. I'll see you at the Midday Moneyball Report. Take care.